Having failed in Paris to gain support for the Irish Republic, in May 1919, the Irish Provisional Government sends Eamon de Valera to America, where he is lionized. For a full 14 days during the 1916 Rising, the New York Times had carried front-page stories about the rebellion. The Irish-American community would support Ireland's journey toward independence throughout.
Americans are appalled by what goes on. And that's kind of the moment when many of them wake up and say that there's something more happening here than just meets the eye. There's something more than just another failed rising.
The 1916 Rising was a godsend to the Fenian dynamic in America because it proved that the Irish would and could strike. It gave them much greater confidence to underwrite the War of Independence, and the coffers of the Clan na Gael organizations began to fill.
In the US, de Valera makes time to meet other anti-imperialists, most notably from India.
The existence in some of these centres, like New York and San Francisco and indeed London, of immigrant Irish and Indian communities meant that they were able to exchange ideas about their revolutionary movements.
People often think of globalization as something that happened in the last 25 years with the social network. But there was a kind of globalization at the beginning of the 20th century, partly through increased travel. So you get this sense of emerging solidarity between the peoples of the colonial world.
The Rising takes place in 1916, and obviously it's quickly followed by the Russian Revolution of 1917. The proximity in dates is striking.
Lenin noticed the modernity of it and the theatre of it. It would later be invoked by Israeli nationalists.
I don't think that the way in which the rebellion was conducted was regarded as a useful exemplar for any future rebellions. It was more the performance of rebellion which encouraged other performances.
In the early 20th century, there's a sense that the global order is destabilizing and new sorts of political opportunities are opening up.
The old British Empire is beginning to come apart at the seams. And part of that is the 1916 Rising. Why? It's the first time since America in 1776 that almost at the heart of their empire, there's a resistance.
Gandhi in particular did not think that Ireland was a good example. After Sinn Féin's resort to violence, he did not think it was a good example to look to Ireland as an influence. But he was in splendid isolation, I think, in relation to this, because Nehru was very keen on using Ireland as an influence.
You can almost feel in 1916 the clock of civilization is beginning to turn. And the rest of the 20th century, the sound of the globe is of bits of the empire falling off and the huge British dominance across the globe beginning to shrink back to its old island bases.
By 1921, the first fragment of the British Empire is ready to break free. After 2.5 years of war in Ireland, Britain's attempt to crush the IRA's guerrilla campaign reaches stalemate. Britain calls a truce. Negotiations are held in London, but Britain offers terms that fall far short of the republic that the 1916 rebels had fought for. Ireland will be partitioned. 6 counties in Ulster, to be called Northern Ireland, will remain part of the United Kingdom. The rest of Ireland will be called the Free State, but still, however, retaining an oath of allegiance to the British Crown. Under threat of the resumption of a terrible war, the Irish delegation reluctantly signed the treaty. Collins knows how it will play out. He says, I have signed my death warrant. For many in Ireland, including Eamon de Valera, only a full 32-county republic can fulfill the ambition of 1916. And they are ready to go to war for that vision. Ireland descends into civil war. In May 1923, after 2 years of bitter fighting, the Civil War ends, clearing the way for the Irish Free State, consisting of 26 counties, to take its place among the nations of the world.